Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
Welcome into Celtics Postgame Live, everybody. I'm your host, Josh Alone, alongside with me, Seamus Zaralengo and Ian Angelo. Welcome in, fellas. The Boston Celtics defeat the Indiana Pacers 128-123, and they take the season series 3-1. Jaylen Brown was your player spotlight. Let's get right into it. 32 points, 7 assists, a really efficient 12 of 18 from the floor. He wins yet another player spotlight. Closing in on Jason Tatum on the leaderboards. He has 14 on the year. Tatum, obviously, at top 18. Seamus, let's start with you. Jaylen Brown, what'd you like from him tonight? Ultra aggressive was JB.
Well, you mentioned it, ultra aggressive, and it was right from the jump. I said at halftime it was going to be one of those Jaylen Brown games where he's just feeling it throughout the night, and that's exactly what happened. And you know, one thing that goes under the radar with Jaylen Brown is his finishing ability. He's always been a great finisher in this league since he's come into this league back in 2016. And right now, he's just turning up to another level in that regard. When he's attacking the bucket and cutting hard, he is always getting good looks at the rim. And that's exactly what the Celtics need more of from him moving forward, because we've always seen with the Celtic team down the stretch, you know, where's that offense going to come from? And if he can continue to be aggressive and find those open buckets down low and fight and attack the defense and open up other opportunities for guys on the perimeter, as well as getting to the free throw line, that's going to be huge, not only for him, but the Celtics moving forward. And right now, that's what the Celtics are going to need out of him.
And how about you, Seamus? What did you see from Jaylen Brown?
I saw Jaylen Brown. I mean, he was just attacking the basket. He was just a menace tonight. And I mean, I really don't remember the last time Jaylen Brown had like this efficient of a shooting night. I think he was like 12 of 18. Like, that's nuts. I mean, Jaylen Brown, he played incredible basketball tonight. His passing was really well. And I don't know if you remember, but I can't remember what game it was, but we were talking about the playoffs and we were talking about what we expected or what we needed to work on. And I said something along the lines of, oh, you know, if Jason Tatum has a rough shooting night or something, we need Jaylen Brown to be able to step up in these moments. And he did that tonight. Jason Tatum didn't have the greatest start. He started like 3 of 12, but Jaylen Brown took over and Tatum ended up coming back towards the end of the game. But Jaylen Brown, he was just a consistent threat all night. And this might have been one of the best games he's played all year.
Look, I said it from the tip. Like, when I saw Jaylen Brown go in the first couple possessions, he was getting bumped all night. He was dealing with the no whistles. He kind of got used to it a little bit.
And then Grant hit him in the face.
Yeah, Grant hit him in the face. I mean, look, I think the Celtics are at their best, especially Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, when they're going to the basket, when they're attacking. Seamus, you said it. Jaylen Brown in transition is one of the best players in the league. Yes, one of the best players in the league. Jaylen Brown is when he is in transition. Let's take a look at tonight's final box score. Jaylen Brown, you see, leading the way with 32 points. Jason Tatum right on his tail, 31 points. Celtics all time now, are they? I believe 10-0 all time when Jason and Jaylen both 12-0 when Jason and Jaylen scored 30 or more points. Tyrese Halliburton on the opposing side with 30 points. Those guys were banged up over there. No Turner, no Brogdon, no Warren. You saw the injuries. They gave Boston one hell of a game. I honestly don't know exactly how much I have to put into this game, because this was one of those games, Seamus, where you should win. Like, this is on the schedule. The Pacers are eliminated from the playoffs. They're down big guys. Like, a lot of their guys in their rotation, they're out. Boston on a 2-game losing streak, still seeking for that first win without Robert Williams on their home court on a Friday night. I feel like this was just like should have been a scheduled win, and luckily the Celtics pulled it out.
Yeah, and this was a good game moving forward for the Celtics too. Not only that they pull out the win here and got themselves another win in that category. However, this game, they have not played many close games over the past couple of months. They've been dominating teams. Since January, they pretty much dominated their entire schedule. And they only have, 4 losses in there since then, if you don't count this past week where we lost in Toronto and Miami. So this game tonight, it's great that we got the win and pulled it out down the stretch. Not great against the opponent, optical wise. It's not great that we had to essentially bring it down to the wire against the Pacers. But you want to get into more of these games down the stretch here where you have to pull it out going one-on-one down the stretch and going into these isolation sets per se and going into a slower paced game because that's what's going to meet the team come playoff time. And hopefully the last 4 games, hopefully the Celtics can, maybe close out these games a little bit earlier if they do, in fact, have a lead like they did throughout most of tonight. However, you do want to see this performance out of the Celtics down the stretch when they've simply, over the past couple of months, have not had too many games like this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important because this is probably, what it's going to be like in the playoffs. You're not going to get every foul call like you would. I mean, granted, they don't get all the foul calls now anyway, but in the playoffs, you don't always get all the foul calls down the stretch. And, it's a more physical and slow game, like you said, Seamus. So I like the way the Celtics closed out tonight. It didn't help that the Pacers anytime the Celtics got momentum and thought it was the closing blow, the Pacers would just hit a random 3 and they'd be right back where they started. But honestly, I was happy with the way they closed it out. They showed that stat, and granted, this was before the Celtics were on their hot streak. They were like 4-15 when they were down by 5 late in the game. That's not good at all. So, I mean, I'm just happy with the way they closed it out because, it's not, we don't have to sit here and be like, is the old Celtics back again? But no, they closed it out. Grant Williams took over in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter Grant is a real thing. So
I feel like this was similar to the game a few months ago when Indiana came to Boston and we went into overtime. The Celtics,
I went to that game.
Every time the Celtics, brought it out to 8, 9, 10, 11 points, Indiana always had an answer. Tyrese Halliburton fouled out really early. That's a shame, if I'm going to be honest, if you're a Pacers fan, or even a basketball fan. I mean, I think he finished 10 of 11 from the field.
And he had 30 points. He was insane.
He was making everything, and I think I'm a big fan of Tyrese Halliburton. What did you think of that performance, Seamus? That was one of his best career games, and it could have been easily his best career game if he didn't foul out so early.
Well, this game tonight with Tyrese Halliburton, it's just such a shame that he fouled out with 7 minutes to go. But because you just think of what he could have done in this game if he continued to play. Not only could he have racked up the stats even more, he had 30 points on 10 of 11 shooting. That is just ridiculously efficient. But not only that, the Indiana Pacers, they had a chance to win this game. They only lost this game by 5 points, and they lost their best player with 7 minutes to go in this ball game when they were making a run. And maybe, just maybe, if he's in the lineup, they're able to pull out this win. And obviously that's bad news for the Celtics. But you got to think, if he's in this game, maybe the outcome is a little bit different if you're a Pacers fan.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what the Kings are thinking right now.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Kings watch this game and they're just like, damn, we really traded that guy for Domantas Sabonis, who, Domantas Sabonis is a good player. He's a great player. He's an all-star. He's not going to be as good as Tyrese Halliburton is currently right now. I mean,
yeah,
Tyrese Halliburton, he had a hell of a game. Honestly, if he didn't foul out, I was concerned that the Celtics might not even win this game because Tyrese Halliburton wasn't so insane tonight.
And at times, the Celtics defense did lapse, but I thought they were playing Halliburton, especially on a few possessions, particularly well. Like, he was hitting some insane shots, and like the amount of deep three, like this guy shoots. He has a set shot. He has like what a center would have. Like his feet.
I don't understand how his shot goes in. I don't get it.
Yeah, his feet don't leave the ground. It's like you figure like it's a center, right? Like I think Dwight Howard, Seamus and I were talking about Dwight Howard hitting threes this year. he has like 7 or 8. His shooting form, I feel, is better than Halliburton. And Halliburton's shooting form has improved a little bit. So I'm with you, Ian. I don't know how the hell. I mean, it works, so I can't make fun of him too much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
Exactly.
it ain't no Joakim Noah jump shot.
It kind of reminds me of like Jokic's jump shot a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton, he went way too late in the draft. I think we all can see that now, but I had him going second to the Warriors. Imagine if the Warriors had this guy right now. I mean,
I had him going to the Knicks.
They would have a logjam at guard, but
oh man,
yeah, you're right. I thought about that during the broadcast too. I was like, this guy's shooting like Steph. Like, imagine him and Steph on the same team, and Klay Thompson as well.
And Jordan Poole.
Yeah, that's scary.
Well, you just think
about
it.
They had LaMelo too, but they didn't choose LaMelo. They chose James Wiseman.
That's right. I mean, they could have had LaMelo.
The jury's not out on him yet, but
right, he's been injured. But back to this game tonight, or I don't know. Do we want to keep talking about this game? But some people around Celtics Nation are probably a little panicked by the last 2 games or the last 3 games, despite us pulling it out tonight, because you saw the last 2 games, 0-2 without Robert Williams to start. The Miami game was not too great for the optical of the whole situation because, we scored 6 points in 6 minutes down the stretch. That was very January, December Celtics-like by us the other night. However, they come in, they close out this game tonight, but you think, Pacers didn't have Tyrese Halliburton. You still struggled to pull out this game. I'm personally not worried about any of these games. No one should be worried about any of these games and how they're playing out right now. The Celtics, I'm going to be worried. I think I said this on my halftime live, where the Celtics, no one should be worried unless they're down 2-0 in a series or down 3-0 in a series. It's going to be in the playoffs when the Celtics have to step up.
Yeah.
When the playoffs start, straight up. Right now, we're just waiting for that moment in which we know who is our opponent, where are we going, are we going to have home court, what's going to happen, is this situation with the team and their vaccination status, is that going to play a factor in who we play if we go out and play Toronto? We're just waiting for those answers right now, and there's 4 games left in the season. Ime is going to be trying to essentially get the lineups correct over the next 4 games because I'm sure he's not all the way set on his lineups right now, especially considering our top used line was just banished for the rest of the season, or at least until Robert Williams comes back. So this next little stretch here, 4 games, it's going to be scheming. It's going to be experimenting. It's not going to be this crazy dominant basketball that we've seen over the past couple of months. However, come playoff time, the best 7 guys, the best 8 guys, when Robert Williams comes back, maybe the best 9 guys are going to play. And that's really when the Celtics are going to have to turn up and actually answer some of these questions that we have or fans have about the team now that Robert Williams. Don't freak out over all these games. First 3 games without Robert Williams, it's going to be an adjustment period.
Right.
But moving forward into the playoffs, that is when it matters most, is in the postseason.
And seeing Daniel Tice play like this, and this is like we have this running joke, Ian and Daniel Tice, but like Daniel Tice, in all seriousness, guys, has stepped up very well. He's not going to be able to replace. I don't think really anybody's going to really be able to replace Robert Williams in the factor that he has on and off the court around this team. But Daniel Tice coming in the past 3 games, scoring between 12 to 15 points a game, stretching the floor. That's pretty big for the Celtics coming up here, Ian. I know you've been a big fan of Daniel Tice, how he stepped up since Rob Williams has been out.
Yeah, I mean, I like we said, I know it's the on-running joke of me always not, having the greatest feelings with Daniel Tice, but I mean, I can't deny the fact that Daniel Tice has been playing really well on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, I was calling him Robert Williams light today. On the live stream because he was doing things that Robert Williams was doing.
Yeah.
The Celtics are, a possession gets blown up by the defense. What is Robert Williams known for? Being under the basket and being right there to help, put back put back any shot or, to catch a lob or to just catch the pass so you can
Right.
put it in at the buzzer. That's what Daniel Tice did tonight. And, granted, his defense, no one's ever going to be Robert Williams on defense. And, does Daniel Tice have the best defense? No. He's not the greatest defender, but he's serviceable. So it could be a lot worse. And, we talk about this all the time. If it wasn't for Brad Stevens trading Dennis Schroeder for Daniel Tice, the Celtics would be really screwed right now because we would have Enes Freedom as our backup center.
Yeah.
So it could be a lot worse. And I'm really happy with the way Daniel Tice is playing right now. I think he's doing the best he can in the situation that he was kind of thrust upon in. So
Right.
Yeah, and since he's gotten back to Boston, he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. I said maybe back in the bubble.
Great too.
Back in the bubble, potentially, I think you could make an argument that he was in really, really good shape there just because he was playing, almost every minute of each playoff game or a majority of the minutes in each playoff game. However, now he looked at the beginning of the season with the Houston Rockets, him with the Houston Rockets. He wasn't playing that often out of the lineup. There probably wasn't a ton of motivation going on there with the Rockets, knowing that their team was going nowhere. Yet he comes to Boston, rejuvenated a little bit, knowing the team is going to play for something, knowing the team is probably going to need him to some extent later on down the line. And right now he looks like he's in the best shape of his career, and you can see it out there on court visibly. And his aggressiveness, I don't think this has ever been higher from Daniel Tice. There's been times where he's been aggressive on the floor, but right now his emphasis on going to the bucket and powering through to the bucket is something that we have not really seen in a while out of Daniel Tice. Of course, he hasn't been on the team a year, but physicality has never been Daniel Tice's strong suit. Yet right now he's putting an emphasis on actually being physical with guys down low and going and getting himself buckets down in the paint. Not only that, he's a great cutter. He knows how to roll to the rim. He can pick and pop. He can run all these actions for the Celtics. And if the Celtics, if they can get him easy buckets by the rim, that's going to do a lot for the absence of Robert Williams moving forward and just scoring in the playoffs in general.
Can we talk about Al Horford's
Dude, I was just going to say that. Yeah. And Al Horford, his 14th double-double of the season, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 7 of 8 from the floor. He ain't 35 years old. He's 25. Ian, you brought him up. Let's talk about him. Al Horford has been phenomenal. Huge for the Celtics.
I love Al Horford. I've always loved Al Horford. Honestly, I think it hit me harder when he left than it did when, the other free agents that left in that offseason.
Yeah.
I think Al Horford hit me the hardest because I love the way Al Horford plays. Al Horford, honestly, you can't even say that he's 35 anymore. No. It's like a moot point at this point. You don't even have to mention his age with the way that he's playing right now. And, is he 2016, 2017 Al Horford? No, he's not. But, he's looking like he's playing that way with the Celtics. And, that's just another guy that Brad Stevens brought back. And, they're playing like they're younger again. I don't know what it is. I guess Brad Stevens is just bringing back the fountain of youth in these guys. And Al Horford was huge tonight because there was times in this game where if Al Horford didn't hit a shot, the Pacers had a chance of going on a run, especially Tyrese Haliburton. So I love Al Horford. I love the way that he's playing. And I don't know if he can really be a comeback player of the year candidate, but after sitting out half the season last year practically because he was helping the Thunder win too many games, Al Horford, I'm just so happy that Al Horford is back. I really am because he's playing some of his best basketball right now.
Yeah, and note to the younger generation of players. Look at what these guys are doing. Above 30 years old, you look at LeBron James, Chris Paul, and of course we're talking about right now Al Horford. Of course, he's not on their level, but he can certainly fit into this category. These guys have all prioritized health in the latter stages of their career. We've talked about it on here before. Al Horford, He's in amazing shape for a 35-year-old. He's in amazing shape for someone who, for the last 15 years, has run up and down a basketball court. And you think at this point in his career, maybe some of that, dwindles a little bit. Maybe you see with these other guys in their later stages of the careers in the early 2010s or the late 2010s, back in the 90s and 80s, these guys, they lose a little bit of their shape. They lose a little bit of momentum within their body. And Al Horford, Chris Paul, LeBron James, I'm sure there's other superstars that I'm not thinking of right now, but all of these guys have prioritized health, prioritized eating healthy, and prioritized getting their body right for the season, and also, strategically resting throughout the way that now you're seeing the results play out on court. All of these guys are still producing at a near all-star level, or LeBron James and Chris Paul are obviously top players in the league, but Al Horford as well, he's still producing at I wouldn't say all-star level, but he could be on an all-defensive team this year, and he's helping one of the best teams in the NBA win ball games. So just moving forward, prioritizing the health, so important in basketball, in sports, and just life in general.
Yeah, and like you said, you actually touched on it. I was just gonna say that after you're done talking about health, I think Al Horford is, when I said it on the postgame show a few nights ago, I think Al Horford is like one of those. You obviously want guys 1 through 15 to stay healthy, obviously, right? Common sense. But Al Horford, I feel like, is one of those underrated guys where if you lose him, you lose a bigger part of the team than some people might think. Right? Like Al Horford does a little bit of everything on both ends of the floor. He can shoot the three. He can work in the post. He can block. He can steal. He can defend the perimeter very well, defend the pick and roll as well. So Al Horford isn't a guy I'd like to see down at all, especially with Robert Williams down. But guys, look, this is going to be, I know this is a little shorter show tonight, but let's kick it to the final thoughts here. Seamus, we'll start with you first. I know you wanted to touch on a topic, so a little controversial topical. This has nothing to do, before caution, nothing to do with politics or what you may or may not believe in. This is just simply based on reports that we have heard, and basically don't take our word for it. Take these other reporters.
Okay, on January 15th, Canada introduced a new law that essentially says people who are not vaccinated cannot come into the country, right? You cannot get into Canada unless you are vaccinated. It was introduced on January 15th, 2022. The Celtics played in Toronto on November 28th, 2021, which of course makes that game completely obsolete when trying to find out, what is going on with the Celtics situation. Tim Bontemps asked the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference, is your whole team vaccinated? The Sixers, the Bucks, the Heat, and the Celtics. The Heat and the Bucks went out and said, yes, we're entirely vaccinated, no worries here. The Sixers and the Celtics declined to comment. Why would you decline to comment if everybody was, of course, vaccinated? A little weird, right? Brad Stevens today goes on Toucher and Rich, a radio show on 98.5, the Sports Hub. He goes on there. They ask him about it. Doesn't give a definitive answer whatsoever at all, dodges the question entirely. They don't get anything out of him. That's a little strange as well. Ian the other day dodged the question as well before he got some pushback in a media session, and then said everybody is going to be available if healthy. Kind of just said it on a whim. Wasn't really a concrete statement. Not really sure if that's true or not. But if you just look at the evidence of who's vaccinated and who's not, the guys who played in Toronto the other day, they're vaccinated. Of course, Marcus Smart, Daniel Tice, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, the main rotation guys, they're all vaccinated. Al Horford, he said he's ready to go wherever they play. Maybe he gets the shot. Maybe he's not vaccinated right now. Maybe he gets the shot later on and just goes hell with it, whatever. Or maybe he's already vaccinated. Jason Tatum during media day said he's vaccinated. So he was out during that game, of course, in Toronto. Maybe he'll be ready to go. We have no idea. Jaylen Brown, him and Robert Williams. Robert Williams, of course, won't be playing in the first round if we do face Toronto. So who knows what's actually going to happen there. Maybe he does come back earlier, of course. But Jaylen Brown, the only player that has not confirmed whether or not he is vaccinated, and we don't have any evidence of whether or not he is vaccinated. Has not played in Toronto here outside of that November 28th. Did not play the other day, of course, rested on the second night of a back-to-back, had knee soreness, but I think we all believe that they were resting that game. And during the media day in October, back in early October, he was asked about his vaccination status or the team, how he will handle players not being vaccinated on the team. And he goes, yeah, it's just a personal choice. I have my own thoughts about it, but it's a personal choice. Never said that he was vaccinated, never said that he wasn't. Again, slided around the question. So moving forward, the Celtics right now, if you just standings, their most likely opponent seems to be the Toronto Raptors in the first round. Now, of course, the Celtics are still jockeying for that 1 and 2 seed. It seems like the Sixers could go all the way down to 4 and stay there with the way they're playing right now, which means the Celtics could potentially slot into number 3. And right now the Raptors are still slotted into that number 6 spot, and it looks like they could end up there. So we're potentially looking at a Celtics-Raptors first-round series. And if that happens, we could find out the players on the team who aren't vaccinated. That being said, could be guys like, Nick Stauskas or someone on the bench, Malik Fitz, any of those guys. And we could be at no worries. What if we do face the Raptors in the first round? It's going to be a developing story, and it's already a developing story. And who's vaccinated and who's not, and who's actually going to be available during games in Toronto. Only time will tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all. That's all you got to say. Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. We may not.
That's pretty much it. We're gonna figure it out.
Right. It's gonna, and you know what? It's gonna be a slap in the face. I feel like it's gonna be a slap in the face.
We're gonna be so screwed if we face Toronto and I'm not saying this is facts, just letting everyone know that if Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum isn't vaccinated.
Imagine they both aren't.
Oh my God! The can of worms that's going to be opened up.
We're not doing this. We're not doing it. We're not playing.
The can of worms that's going to be opened up. I don't even want to think about it. I really don't want to think about it. I can just imagine just the headlines. All the times we made fun of Kyrie Irving for not wanting to get the shot. Oh, man.
That and the Brooklyn Nets, I feel like that just made it even more sweeter, just seeing Brooklyn struggle. I think that just made it awesome. But let's take one final look at tonight's. Wait, go ahead. Okay, Seamus.
Some good news. We can take a look at the box score and talk about this, but the Raptors and the Bulls are tied for round. The Celtics are 1.5 games out of the first seed and a half game out of the 2 seed. How did this happen where we somehow, we don't really want to get the number 1 and 2, so we don't have to face Brooklyn if they're in the play game, right? You avoid Brooklyn theoretically if you're in the 3rd spot, but then now we're all of a sudden going, oh man, we don't want to face Toronto. We don't want to face Toronto and go up to Canada and find out who's unvaccinated. We don't want to face Toronto. So somehow we've been dominating for the second half of the season, only for us to get to this point of Robert Williams is hurt. We're not dominant anymore.
Honestly,
and we don't want to face the 6th and the 8th best team in the East right now.
Let's think about this. Did we ever think we'd get this far?
No,
exactly.
But the thing is, though, I don't think it's fair to say that because Robert, at the time when we were utmost confident and we were the number 1 seed, Robert Williams was still our center. He wasn't injured.
Lasted 6 hours.
We also didn't know the vaccine status on Boston. Now that it's in the back of our minds, and now that Robert Williams is out 4 to 6 weeks, now we are a little nervous. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't mind playing a banged up Chicago. I know they're slowly starting to get healthy, but I wish Cleveland didn't get so injured because now they're 3 games back from the 6th spot, which is still possible to get, but Toronto would probably have to win out and Cleveland would, all of this BS. But if I'm Boston sitting here in the 3 seed, I wouldn't mind if Chicago dropped down to 6.
I've been saying that, by the way. I want the Celtics to play Chicago this entire time. I've been saying I want the Celtics to play Chicago.
I think even a full healthy roster, I think we still beat the Raptors. I don't think it'll be like scary, but like I feel like they'll be a tough team to beat. Like like Toronto still has a lot of the similar roster that they did when Boston played them in the bubble, and they gave Tatum hell, and they're gonna give Tatum hell again. This time with fans in the stands, and that'll motivate them even more. But we'll have to find. Like, look, we said this every post game show. The Celtics are 3 right now. They could be 4, they could be 5, or they could be 1 by the next time we're talking to you. So that's just how things change. Let's take one final look at tonight's box score. The Boston Celtics defeat the Indiana Pacers 128-123 in regulation. The Boston Celtics improved to 48-30 on the regular season. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum combined for 63 points. Tyrese Halliburton with 30, 10 of 11 shooting. That's going to take it. That's going to wrap us up tonight. I'm Justin Lowe. That's Seamus Darlingo. That's Ian Angelo. Join us Sunday afternoon as the Boston Celtics host the Washington Wizards. We'll have you covered for Celtics Postgame Live. I'm Justin. That's Seamus.